Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. Thought we'd have a look at 5 things we learned from Man City's win against Arsenal, our defeat at the Etihad. It was knocked out of the FA Cup. That is disappointing. We lost the game. We lost the game against the team that we feel were really battling out for the Premier League title. There were things to learn from that. There were people, in some ways, called it a little bit of an experimental tie for Arsenal to see what it'd be like, going head-to-head with a team like Man City. Of course, we're facing them at the Etihad in April. We're facing them at the Emirates on February the 15th. That's going to come around before you know it. And this was an opportunity to take a lot from that, to learn and understand where not just the first 11 is against Man City, but where the squad is, and also how Arteta wants to approach that game. So we'll explore all that by checking out 5 things that I felt I took away from the game. I think the first thing to do is look at the tactical pad and discuss the trust that Arteta has in this squad. Now, when you look at the starting 11, and when you look at the 2 on paper, Man City's feels a lot closer to what Guardiola's been going with this season. Lewis has become a regular. You've got Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, a nice balanced midfield 3, and of course you've got Haaland leading the line, Mahrez with a bit of a resurgence. So yeah, you look at the likes of Diaz, where was he? Maybe Bernardo Silva. But that tends to be the team that he's gone with. For Arsenal, however, I think it's fair to say that come April, when we come to the Etihad, you're probably, providing injuries go our way, are not expecting Turner, Tomiyasu, Holding, Tierney, Vieira, Nketiah, and Leandro Trossard to start. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, Nketiah's been brilliant, sure, but that would be 2 months probably, or a month and a half worth of football for Gabriel Jesus to get back to full fitness. Does he compete for his spot with Eddie Nketiah and maybe win it back? The likes of Martinelli as well and Trossard. I wouldn't think Trossard's going to win his place in the starting 11 that easy, though he did look very good, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. Then you've got Odegaard, White, Saliba, Ramsdale, and of course Zinchenko. So you're looking at, quick math, quick 1, 2, 3, 4, you're looking at 7 players in the starting 11 that probably wouldn't start at the Etihad. And I think that just shows you how much Mikel Arteta really trusts his squad. The fact that he was happy to rotate like this, happy to bring in all these players, and basically just say, let's go toe-to-toe with Man City, let's see what they're about. And actually we competed very, very competitively. And the fact that he made this many changes, I think shows you the trust he has in his squad, perhaps more so than we do as fans. We always think, well, if we lose a couple of players, then it's, it's a real stress, the season's over, blah, blah. You see the bids for Caicedo, what happens if Partey gets injured, all that. And I understand to a degree. But Arteta seems to have a lot more faith in his squad than maybe some of us fans do. Now, my second sort of thing I took away from it is that the Premier League's clearly the priority. Now, Mikel Arteta is always spoken about being competitive on all fronts and, understanding that, he's a winner, right? He doesn't like losing. But I did get the feeling that the Premier League was the priority. We just touched on it there in that last point, about the starting 11, the changes he made. That would probably tell you a lot. But I think there was something else that was far more telling about how desperately he really wanted to win this game. Now, if we just have a little look at the starting lineup, let's clear all that. Okay, and what I've got here on the left is the 5 subs that came on. What was interesting, though, is the way he used them. So the first thing we saw was Partey come off. He had a rib injury. Looks like he's going to be fine. And Rob Holding come off. And William Saliba got 45 minutes of football and no more. And then we saw Lokonga come on as well at the base of midfield. So Partey, not playing through the injury. Arteta said after the game he had to come off. There was no choice. Fine. He came off. Saliba came on as well. Then Tierney comes off. And Zinchenko comes on with about half an hour to go, and we see the left-hand side change completely with Trossard and Martinelli. Now, the really telling substitution, the one that for me told me exactly how Arteta felt about this in comparison to the Premier League and how much he rates our chances of going far in the Premier League, was this change. Martin Odegaard came on in that sort of wide, that right central midfield space, either side, alongside Lokonga with Xhaka in there as well. But he didn't take off Fabio Vieira, as I think a lot of people would have expected. He took off Bukayo Saka and went with Fabio Vieira out on the right. I just think if he were desperate to win this game, I think Saka would have stayed on the pitch. Wasn't having his best game. Ake did really, really well. But I think the substitutions, the minutes he gave to players, it's almost like he said to Saliba, we don't want to risk you, but we do want to give you 45 minutes against Haaland so you know what it's like. And Zinchenko, we don't want to risk you because you've had injury problems. But again, we're going to see if we can get you some minutes against Man City, get into the rhythm of the game. And then you've got players like Odegaard coming on, sure. You think, well, Fabio Vieira's not had his best game, really, so he's probably going to come off. But he plays the full 90, and it's Bukayo Saka that gets a rest. I think those substitutions, but in particular that Saka one, I think tells us everything about how Arteta felt about going out of that competition, which was, I'd rather win, but I'm not going to do everything to win this tie. And I think you saw that with that Saka sub. Now for my third point, I think we've got a bit of an insight into Arteta's plan. Yes, he rotated heavily. Yes, he took Saka off, as I mentioned. But I think we did get a lot of insight into what his plan might be when facing Manchester City. And again, it goes all the way back to that first point, which is trusting his players. What do I mean? Let's have a look at the two 11s here. First thing we're going to do with the Man City 11 is just put them into the position they tend to get in. That sort of back three, where have we seen this before? Nathan Ake almost doing on the left-hand side what Ben White does, which is forming a back three, getting forward sometimes as well, and Lewis doing very much what Zinchenko does, starting at right back, moving into central midfield. Now, what I found really interesting about Arsenal's shape, however, is that when they defended, and we give Stones the ball there, Arsenal went man for man all over the pitch against Manchester City. I mean, they really did. Let's show just some of the battles we saw frequently throughout the game. Stones pressing Trossard, Gabriel following Mahrez wherever he went, but this was another big one, holding Haaland, and then became Saliba Haaland as well in the second half. Sometimes Gabriel came across to cover, and then another really fascinating one was Tierney following De Bruyne all the way into midfield. You might be looking at this and going, really, James? Honestly, I've been tweeting about it. Go check it out. I've got a photo. I was at the ground. I had a really good view of the pitch, and I numbered where all the players were across the pitch. The way they man-marked Man City was absolutely fascinating. And you got other players, like Tomiyasu, just keeping an eye on Grealish there. Saka just keeping an eye on Ake there. But what we really saw was Arsenal going man for man on the side of the pitch where City had the ball and basically saying, you're going to have to play through us. You're going to have to win your duels. You're going to have to get round a player if you're going to attack us. But that was Arteta trusting his players again to win their individual duels. Now, Arsenal have some very dynamic players, the likes of Trossard's dynamic, Xhaka, Tierney, Gabriel. He trusts them to go all over the pitch and follow them. But what it also forced Manchester City to do, and we'll just show it here, is go long so often with that kind of, I mean, it was Burnley stuff. I mean, I'm not even joking. I know we lost the game and Man City thought second half were very good. But it was that long pass from Ortega into Haaland. They kept trying to pin and have that battle between Haaland and Holding. Holding actually, until the yellow card, I felt came out on top. Did really well. There was one moment where Turner had to sort of bail him out. But other than that, I thought Holding did a really, really good job. And again, it showed us, I think, gave us a little glimpse into what the plan might be come the Emirates when he's got most of his first team in there, White, Saliba, players like that. And when they come round, he's going to say, look, we're going to go for that man-for-man job. We've shown we could do it with the rotated side. Now let's do it with our best side. Hopefully we get more transitions. We are able to press a little bit better and we're able to create more chance than we did at the Etihad. But as a plan, I think that's what he's going to adopt at the Emirates. Now, my fourth point, we've got to talk about Leandro Trossard. He got his full debut for Arsenal. Really had a good one-on-one battle with Rico Lewis at times and then John Stones when he came across. We got them in transition. I thought he was really good. I thought he looked really, really direct. That's the thing we learned. I say we learned. I sort of knew he had it in him. I was surprised that people were talking to him about him as just a creator, a pass and move player. He can run. He can be direct. And I said in our In Focus we did on him when we signed him, it's not just because he's got more speed than perhaps people expected. It's because he's got two really gifted feet, which makes it even more difficult. When you're a defender, okay, he's just taken this wide, but I know he wants to cut back on his right. And if he does try something with his left, is he always going to get it right? What you saw with Stones and Rico Lewis knowing, well, I don't really know which way to send him because he's quite comfortable on both. He's going to just have a shot with his left or he's going to cut in on his right, maybe have a shot, maybe set someone up. And I thought his unpredictability was fantastic. But it was the directness. It was the way he got the ball and went to run at players and keep doing the things that Martinelli's been doing in this team. And I think that's a real positive because when you are rotating, you don't want the whole game plan to go out the way. You don't want to always think, okay, well, Trossard has to come in field, as Zinchenko will go wide Tierney will go wide and push up and hold the width. And we saw a little bit of that, don't get me wrong. We saw the way they can interchange and Tierney can sort of overlap a little bit. But largely we saw Tierney following De Bruyne around the pitch like we saw coming inside and Trossard being very, very direct and trusting himself in the 1-1 battle. And I thought it was a really, really impressive debut. He had a couple shots. I mean, there was that one moment where he sort of twisted Stones in and out and then played it across to Tomiyasu. And that was a good save by Ortega, a really lovely move. And then when he was one-on-one with Rico Lewis, he sort of did the step overs, the feints, and he puts onto his left foot and forces another good save out of Ortega. I thought those were really good moments for Trossard that will give him a lot of confidence and give Arsenal fans a lot of confidence that even though he looks stylistically a lot like Santi Cazorla, he could be a very direct player in this front three. And my fifth and final point, I want to say well done to Matt Turner. Now, some people felt that he could have done a little bit better on the goal. I don't know. I struggle with even at any level where you play football, you can sort of sometimes understand what situations are like, but I've never been a goalkeeper, so I have no idea whether really he should have done a bit better. I tend to look at Saka and Tomiyasu for not dealing with that pass from Grealish into Ake, and then Saliba for not closing him down. Some people critical of Lokonga. I felt that's a little bit harsh. I think really it should be dealt with by Saliba, Tomiyasu and Saka before you even look at the goalkeeper or at Lokonga. But I thought Matt Turner had a really good debut. I mean, besides the fact that his claiming of crossing was good, I felt, the way he got holding out of trouble when Haaland got him beyond, I thought was really good. He showed bravery, he showed a proactiveness, wanting to deal with it early rather than letting Haaland get onto it and then just see if he can sort of, make a save or do something. I thought he did well there, but I thought his distribution was good. Now, he got some things wrong, don't get me wrong. He doesn't look as natural as Aaron Ramsdale when it comes to it, but I felt he was brave. I felt he never shied away from playing the difficult pass, because when you execute the difficult pass, you play through the press and you've got an opportunity to open up the pitch. I thought those threaded passes into Xhaka and Partey and the switch ball to Tomiyasu was often on, and when he did try them, he tended to execute it. So I thought it was a really good performance from Matt Turner, and I think, with every passing performance, he had a good World Cup, he had some good Europa League, performances before the World Cup as well. With every time we see him, I think we're getting more and more confident that he could be a very good competitor for the spot, with Aaron Ramsdale. Why not? He's not there just to sit on the bench. He's an American USA international. He will be there to fight for his spot. But I think as Arsenal fans, we know Ramsdale's in good form. We know Ramsdale's been superb since we signed him. Matt Turner's going to provide really, really good competition. And like we say across all areas of the pitch, goalkeeper's no different. You want good competition. You want to feel that if Ramsdale can't play a game, you've got someone who could come in. And I thought Turner at the Etihad did a really fantastic job. Okay, I'm going to round outro now, yeah? All right, those have been my 5 things that I learned. What did you learn from that defeat at the Etihad? You're probably thinking, James, we lost. Why are you speaking so glowingly about the team and the performance? I think as you watched the game, you saw the 90, you'd understand why we're feeling quite positive about the way we played. Are there positives in defeat, being out the cup? Maybe. I'll let you guys debate that in the comment section. But in terms of the performance and the tactics, the way Arteta wanted to approach this game, I thought we learned a lot, actually, especially when it comes to 2 individuals like Trossard and Matt Turner. So let me know what else you felt you learned. Hit the like button if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to AFTV so you're kept up to date with all the transfer deadline day stuff, which, of course, we'll be covering on a literally... As breaking news comes through, we'll be covering on AFTV, and of course we'll be looking ahead to Everton later in the week. Big thanks as always. Catch you on the next one.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.